Welcome, Mindsetters. This is Sibonganjalo Sibusobueta, and I'm in the studio with Peter to do some of the exam revision questions today for Maths Literacy, Grade 12. And Peter, how are you doing? What are we doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Always doing well, especially because I spent the last 3 nights in the Kruger National Park, which was absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
We saw 6 cheetahs, we saw a leopard, we saw a wild dog kill. It was just phenomenal, absolutely wonderful. But it still saddens me that some people still drive through the park and don't stick to the speed restriction of 50 kilometers an hour. And unfortunately, well, in fact, the last time we were there, we actually saw a leopard that had been knocked over and killed. So yeah, if you go to the Kruger National Park, guys, please tell your folks, stick to the speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour. Okay.
Peter, I'm interested. With the rhino killings, did you experience any incidents while you were there?
We didn't, but there's a huge awareness of what's going on with the rhino. And there's so many people out there saying, hey guys, let's stop this rhino killing. And you know what? It makes sense. Hey, it's our animals. We're all Africans. They're African animals. They belong to us. Let's look after our animals, man.
That's true. That's so true, guys. And with these exciting news, clearly Peter enjoyed his few 3 nights. And we're in the studio today. We have a mindsetter. That's the most exciting part. Colin is with us in the studio. Colin, tell us where you're from, why you're here. Tell us.
Hello, everybody. I'm from Sebokeng for Ianaching, coming from Tandukwazi Secondary School. Yeah, I came here to do some maths lit with you guys because, like, I love mindset.
It's so interesting to have one of the mindsetters in studio with us today, and especially for Peter. I bet he's happy because he's going to have someone to prick on and ask the questions, see if he has been attentive in all the shows. With that, guys, to post any questions, you can go to www.facebook.com/learnextra. On Twitter, we @learnextra. And to get some of the notes, you can go to www.mindset.co.za. Enjoy, guys. Over to you, Peter.
Right, thanks, Bongani. And Bongani asked me right in the beginning, what are we doing today? And I started talking about the Kruger Park and forgot clean about to answer that question. So, guys, we are looking today at some finance questions as well as a few questions on graph work. And we're taking these questions from a paper 2 that was set at the beginning of March, April this year. Okay, so it was a supplementary paper. So it's real questions taken from your papers, questions which you could come across at the end of the year. Obviously not the exact same questions, but questions that are extremely similar to that. Okay, now this is what I always tell my students. Okay, and Colin, you're a matric, aren't you? Okay.
I am.
So this is a crucial information. And what I always say to my matrics is this, that if you take the past papers, and remember we started mathematical literacy, the first matric group was in 2008. So if you take past papers, the 2008, paper 1 and paper 2, and you do it, and then you take the 2009, paper 1, paper 2, and do it, and the 10, and the 2011, and last year's 2012 paper, guys, you're going to come across quite a few things that are kind of repeated. Okay, so if you look at the 2009 paper, there was a question on either the mean, the median, or the mode. If you look at the 2010 paper, there was a question on either the mean, median, and mode. And the 11 paper, mean, median, mode. And the 2012, mean, median, and mode. Now, I haven't even seen the 2013 paper. I will only see it once you've written it. But I can almost guarantee you that there would also be a question along the lines of find the mean, median, and mode. Why? Because, folk, there is a syllabus content. And the examiners can only ask you what is in that syllabus. Okay? They can't ask you anything else. Only what is contained within that syllabus. And guys, if they've questioned that syllabus in 2008 and they're questioning it again in 2013, there's got to be similar sort of questions coming up year after year after year. Obviously, the context is different. So, for example, I know in the one paper in 2009, they gave a whole lot of prices of housing. And they said, find the mean average price of all these houses. Now, last year, there was nothing to do with houses. There was a totally different context, but there were also questions. Now, calculate the mean of this or that or that. So what I say to my students is quite simply, and I'm going to say to you folk out there as well, guys, before you write those final papers, in fact, before you even write your prelims, which are coming up, you should have done the 2008, 2009, 2010, 11 and 12 papers, okay? At least once through every single one of those 10 papers, because it's 2 per year, by the time you do prelims. By the time you do your finals, you should have done each of those papers at least 3 times each. Whoa, that's a lot of work. Guys, it's your future, okay? And if you spend that amount of time on your papers, on those past papers, I can guarantee success. It's got to be, okay? Do you hear that, Colin?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, do you
Quite
agree
clear.
with me?
Yeah.
Okay, you've got to agree with me.
Yeah, I
I'm
agree
always
with
right.
you. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, folk, what are we doing today? We're looking at finance, and we're going to look at also at a few questions to do with graph work. Okay? Again, they're from paper 2. Because they're from paper 2, I'm not expecting straightforward, basic kind of questions. Remember, my paper 1 is straightforward, easy. We expect you to do well in paper 1. Paper 2, we're throwing in a few challenges. So because this will work behind me, and what we're going to go through today is paper 2, it means you're going to have to think a little bit. And Colin, I'm going to be picking on you, or rather asking you a few questions through today.
No problem.
So let's hopefully we're on the right page.
Okay.
All right. Folks, let's get started straight away. Question 1, the very first one we're going to look at, and from the board you can see it's been adapted from February and March 2012 paper 2. Right, here we go. The principal of a local school asked Lishe to, have I pronounced that correctly, Colin?
Yeah, it's Lishe.
Lishe,
Yes.
right. The principal of the local school asked Lishe to take over the running of the school tuck shop. He wanted to show Lishe that their annual profit from the tuck shop increases each year. Now, table 1 below shows the profit of the tuck shop for the last 5 years. Okay, so here is table 1. And it says the profit from the school tuck shop over the last 5 years. And you can see that in 2007, the tuck shop made a profit of 10,300 Rand. 2008, it made a profit of 10,200 and 10,400 the following year. Again, the same profit, 10,400 in 2010, and then in 2011, a whacking profit of 10,500 Rand. Okay, so let's have a look at this question, okay? And let's understand the question. And Colin, that's the first thing we do when we open our exam paper. We read the question, and then what I say to my students is try and repeat that question in your head so you know, you understand the context and that it makes sense to you. So this is what I would say to myself in the exam. I'd say myself, what's actually happening here is the principal, there's a school tuck shop, and the principal has gone to a student and said to the student, we want you to take over the running of the tuck shop. Why? I have no idea. But nevertheless, we want the student, Lisa is it, to
Yes.
take over the running of the tuck shop, okay, and make a profit out of it and work with this tuck shop, okay. And so the principal goes to the students and says to them, listen, here are the profits that we've made over the following years. But he doesn't go to the student and give him the table that we've just seen. Instead, he draws the profit on a graph. Now, let's have a look here. There's graph A, annual profit of the tuck shop, and graph B, the annual profit of the tuck shop. Now, I want you to take note that both graphs are the annual profit of the tuck shop, okay? Both graphs, if the headmaster were to present both to the student, he'd be 100% correct in presenting that because there's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's a profit and it's a profit. But there's a difference between those graphs. If you look carefully at this graph, you can actually see that there's a decline in graph A, and then it goes up, and then it's kind of level, and then it goes up again. If we look at graph B, there's a constant increase in the profit. here's the question. Explain why the two graphs have different shapes. Colin, can you see anything different?
I think the first graph, it's all because it shows like the appreciating and the depreciating of the prices of the profits, and then graph B, it doesn't show the decrease, it only shows the increase.
Why is that? Look here. What's missing here?
2008.
What's missing here?
2010.
2010. Okay. And what happened in 2008?
Decrease.
There was a decrease in the profit. Okay. So the headmaster hasn't shown that. What happened in 2010 to the profit? It remained?
It remains the same.
The same. It remained constant. The headmaster hasn't shown that, or rather this graph hasn't shown it. So all that's happened in the first graph is we've shown the profit for each year. We've seen 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. And then we've joined those dots and we've got the graph. Now for the second graph, folk, and it's almost a little bit deceitful, okay, although we can't take the principal to court for this because he's done nothing wrong. All they've done is they've shown the 2007, the 2009 and the 2011 profit and joined those profits. So it looks like, sure, this tuck shop's just making more and more and more and more money. But when I look at it in each year, I can say, sure, there was a decline in profit in the one year, and in the other year, the profit remained the same. So the exact same graphs, but by missing out little details like 2 years, we get two entirely different graphs. Can you see that? Okay. So to answer the question why the two graphs have different shapes, because in graph A, we've plotted each year from 2007 to 2011, whereas in graph B, we've plotted only 2007, 2009, and 2011. Now, here's a question. Identify and explain which one of the two graphs the principal would use to show Lihle that the annual profits have increased. Now, remember something here, folks. The principal wants to get rid of this tuck shop. He wants Lihle to take the tuck shop and run with it. He doesn't want to do it anymore. Okay? He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Now, folks, if you were the principal and you were trying to convince someone to take over, which graph would you show them? Colin?
Graph B.
Graph B, absolutely. Hey? You would say, yeah, look here, our profits are just going higher and higher and higher. If you take over the tuck shop, can you imagine how much money you're going to make at the end of this year? Right? Whereas, if you showed them graph A, what you're actually saying is, you know what, it might go down a little bit, or it could stay the same. Look what happened here in 2008. The profits went down. Look what happened here in 2010. The profit remained the same. So this graph looks like, you know, sometimes our profit goes up, sometimes it goes down, sometimes it stays the same. Whereas in graph B, it's saying, hey, we're going to make so much money, you and I. Let's go for this wonderful business adventure. All right? We clear on that, Colin?
Got it.
Okay. Now, the next question is this. Calculate the largest annual percentage increase, and I'm going to circle the word percentage, increase in profit between 2008 and 2011. Now, folk, there's one formula you have just got to know. Okay? So tonight, when you go to bed, you say goodnight to your mom, you say goodnight to your dad, you have your own little quiet time, and just as you're about to doze off, you call out this formula, and this is the formula. Percentage profit or loss, it depends what you're looking for, okay, is equal to the difference over the original, and I'll explain that now, times 100. Okay. So, what do I mean by difference? I mean the difference between two prices that I'm comparing. Okay? How do we find difference? We always
Subtract.
Absolutely. Okay. And the original is the first price that I'm giving you. Okay. Now, let's go back to our graph, because this is also an important concept that we have to understand when it comes to graph work. I'm just getting rid of all these lines here quickly. Okay. And it says which graph shows a greater increase in profit. Now, without looking at the figures, so Colin, let's pretend these figures were not here. How would you know which year has had the greatest profit increase? By looking at the graph.
2011.
Okay, the greater increase from what year to what year. Okay?
Okay.
So what we would say is that if we look here, that's not an increase because my line is going down. That's not an increase because my profit remained the same. So there are 2 years that I've got a profit. Between 2008 and 2009, my profit increased. Okay? And between 2010 and 2011, my profit increased. Which one increased the most and between these years?
2008 and 9.
2008 and 2009. And why do we say that? We say that for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, which is the obvious reason, is if we look at the figure, we have 10,400. It started at 10,200 in 2008. At 2009, it got to 10,400. So it increased by 200 Rand. Okay? Here the increase in 2010, it started on 10.4 and 2011 ended on 10.5, which means the profit was only 100 Rand. Okay, or the increase in the profit rather was 100 Rand. So we can see that my increase in profit was 2008 to 2009. But besides the figures, so if these numbers were not here, let's get rid of them. Let's pretend they're not there. How would I know where my greatest increase in profit is? It's quite simple, hey? It would be because of the steepness of my line. Okay. And Colin, if you look quite carefully, here's one line, here's the other line, and you can see that there's a greater steepness to that line, which tells me there's been a greater profit then, or greater increase than what there is between 2010 and 2011. And guys, it's the same thing if you got a graph with speed. Okay? Let's say I gave you this kind of graph, and I know we're just going slightly off the topic, but that's okay, I'm allowed to do this. So if I gave you a graph, and let's say I said to you, in fact, you know what, let's make it nice and pretty and neat and all the rest. So I'm going to go for a straight line, I think. Yeah, let's use green. So here's a line, okay? Now let's say that I'm traveling at a speed, okay? Now, looking at that, where has he traveled the fastest? Bearing in mind that this would be my distance over my time. Sorry, distance, and here would be time, okay? Okay. In other words, we've traveled quite a far distance over a little period of time. Here, we've covered a lot of time, but we've covered no distance. So what would have happened to your vehicle at that stage if I was plotting?
It's broken. It's
broken down, all right, it's not traveling. Or I've been driving along and I've got into a traffic jam and I've come to a grinding halt. Or there's a robot and I'm sitting there waiting patiently. Or I've had a flat tire. Okay? Or if I'm driving in the Kruger Park, I've suddenly seen 6 cheetah and I'm now stopping and watching them in absolute awe and amazement. Got that? Okay? Now, Colin, again back to you, all right? At what time or what line, I'm going to say this line we're going to call A and this line B. Line A or line B, are we traveling faster? Which one?
A.
A, absolutely. Because if you look here, we've covered a lot of distance in a very short time. Here, we've covered a little distance in a much longer time. Okay. Okay. And so my speed, besides looking at the values on my axis, the steeper the graph, it shows me that I'm going a lot faster. And it's the same with that increase in the amount of money I've got. So, quickly back here, and then we're going to take a break, I think. So, back to this question. So, my profit increase is equal to the difference. Now, what was the difference? We calculated it was 200 Rand.
200 Rand.
Okay, so I've got 200 Rand. My original price, if we remember correctly, was, oh my goodness, I've rubbed it out so much so I can't even see it. Here we go, 10,200 Rand. So we got 10,200 Rand. And we're going to multiply that by
100.
100. And again, Colin, I don't know if you like this, but I tell my students all the time, use your calculator. So if you see a calculation, grab the calculator. Even a simple thing like 1 times 2. Because when you write your matric at the end of the year, you're going to be so tense and so nervous that you're going to make the most stupid and silliest mistakes you could ever wish to make. So use that calculator. And that's what I'm doing here. I've got fraction button, I've got 200, all over 10,200, and I'm going to multiply it now by 100, equals, and my answer now is going to be 1,96%. So my answer, 1,96%, was the increase in the profit over that time. You happy?
Yeah, I am happy, but then I did it differently.
How did you do it?
I didn't subtract. I said 10,400 over 10,500 multiplied by 100, and it gave me 99.4%,
Okay.
which is wrong.
Which is totally wrong, because it's got to be the difference over the original,
Okay.
always. Okay,
Yeah.
and you need to write that formula down and use it for your learning. Okay, it's
Okay.
great having you in the studio.
Okay.
Because Colin made an error, but you know what, folks? So many of you make those same mistakes in the final exam. Colin, rather make the mistake now than do it in your final. Okay.
Thanks, man.
I'm going to hand back to you, and you're going to send us on a break, I think.
Yes, guys, before we go and grab our water and go out and stretch, we have a great competition running. It's called Stop the Clock. What you do in this is you go onto www.mindset.co.za/learn/stop the clock. What you do is go for the entry form, pick a number between 0 to 9, and you could be a lucky winner at the end of the show, and we're giving away DJ Whiskey, the Rebirth. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you're refreshed and ready to learn. Moving right along, we don't want to waste much time because you know it's really flying. When you have fun, time flies. So Peter, over to you.
Right, thanks, Bongi. So, welcome back, folks. Remember, we're looking at past papers from, and the one we're looking at particular is the 2012 supplementary paper that was written earlier this year. And again, Colin, thanks for being in the studio. It's great having you. And I enjoy having a matric in the studio because then we're able to ask questions and hopefully, and I say this with respect, hopefully Colin's going to make mistakes when he answers my questions because so many students make the same mistakes when they do their finals. And Colin, I'd rather you make the mistake here in studio than on that final paper of yours. Okay, right, folks. So we looked at a graph question, and now there's a question that came up 2 years ago. And I feel I must go through this question very carefully. And it's on inflation because we're looking at graph work as well. So let's have a look. Behind me, I've drawn very roughly a graph, but it's showing my inflation rate, and then it's showing the years, okay? So in 2000, inflation was 2%. In 2001, it went up to 4%. 2002, it remained at 4%. 2003, the inflation rate dropped to 3%. Okay, now Colin, did the price of goods go up? So let's pretend I bought something for 50 Rand. It cost me 50 Rand in 2000. First of all, we understand what inflation is, don't
Yes.
we? Okay. So, guys, for you out there, let me just explain. So, inflation is the average increase of goods. Okay? So, for example, if we're saying I buy something for 100 Rand and the inflation rate is 2%, it means next year I'm going to pay 102 Rand for that product that cost me 100 Rand last year. Are we clear on that? Okay, so in fact, let's use that nice figure rather. Okay, so Colin, let's pretend I bought something for 100 Rand in 2000. Okay, and the inflation is 2%. Has the price gone up or has it gone down?
It has gone up.
It's gone up, absolutely. Now, from 2001 to 2002, Colin, right? Look at the graph. It was 4% in 2001. In 2002, it remains 4%. Has the price of goods gone up, gone down, or stayed the same?
Stayed the same.
Stayed the same. Okay. And I was hoping Colin was going to say that. All right? Because so many matrics said the same thing 2 years ago. And folk, the price of goods has gone up. Okay. But it's gone up by a constant 4%. So Colin, if we look at this graph, we can see in 2000 the price of things went up 2%. In 2001, they went up 4%. In 2002, the inflation rate remained the same. So it was still 4%. But what we're saying is the price of goods still went up. But it went up by the same amount, 4%. Okay? But inflation's still gone up. So in the 1 year it went up 4%. The next year, it's also gone up. But it's gone up by the same amount, another 4%. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do.
So here's a question now, and think about it. In 2003, the inflation rate now has dropped. So it wasn't 4%, it's now only 3%. Has the price of goods gone up or gone down?
Going down.
It's gone up.
Up.
Because it's gone up, but it's only gone up by 3%.
But it's decreasing from 4 to 3.
The inflation rate is decreasing. But if something cost 100 Rand, over here it's gone up by 4%.
Oh,
it's costing
okay.
104 Rand.
Okay.
The
I get it.
following year, it's gone up, but it's only gone up 3%. So it's gone up 103 to 103 Rand, if it was 100 Rand a
Okay.
year before. Okay? In fact, that's a mistake that so many matrics make when they look at that inflation graph. So the inflation rate is still going up, but it's not going up as much. It's dropped by 1%, or rather, where it was 4%, it's now 3%. So everything the year before went up 4%. The next year, everything is still going up, but it's only going up by 3%. So how do we know when things are getting cheaper? Guys, things are getting cheaper where if suddenly the inflation rate drops here, and let's say that's minus 2%. Okay? Now everything has dropped by 2% when we below the zero mark. Are we clear on that, Colin?
So
It's a horrible, tricky question, isn't it?
yeah, it is tricky. So meaning the price is 100 Rand. So if it's increased by 2 rands or something or more, meaning it has still increased. It doesn't matter whether it decreased or something, as long
Doesn't matter if
it's
the
not
inflation
100
rate's
Rand.
decreased or increased. If it's above zero, it means it's got more expensive.
Okay.
Okay. If your inflation rate could even be 0.5%, which means everything's gone up. So if I were to have drawn this line, and let's say, let's get rid of this line here, and this is an important concept, so I want to spend time on it. So let's say everything, this graph suddenly dropped to just before the green line. Okay? Has the price of goods still gone up? Yes, it has. But not up as much. It might have only gone up only 0.5%. Are you clear on that?
Yeah, I got it.
But inflation's difficult to understand. And the inflation graph is a very difficult concept to understand as well. But please understand, this is not saying profit. It's saying inflation. And inflation means how much has stuff gone up. So even though the graph's coming down, the price of goods is still going up. But it's not going up as much as it did last year. Okay?
Okay.
Got it?
Got
so
it.
in the same way, if we were to look at the price of petrol, Bongi, how did you get here?
I use a taxi.
And have you noticed the price is increasing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Even the gas has increased
Okay.
now.
The gas increased today
Yeah.
by something like 84 cents,
Yeah.
if I remember
Even the
correctly.
petrol, right? Petrol has also
Petrol.
increased.
That's right. So the petrol price increased by like 84 cents
Mhm.
today, which folk is absolutely horrendous because if you've got a car and let's say it takes 80 litres, so you've got a big car, takes 80 litres, your price of petrol is going up by over 60 rand a tank. Okay, which you could buy 3 or 4 or 5 slabs of chocolates with this. And as you can see from my figure, that's kind of important for me. Okay, so guys, price of petrol's gone up. Now, let's say we were to draw that on a graph. And we were to work out, well, what's 85 cents of the old price? And let's say it was, I don't know, I'm just going to make figures up here. Let's say it was round about 3%. Okay? So it's gone up by 3%. Now let's say the price of petrol, the Minister of Transport announces tonight on TV, made a big mistake. Okay? It wasn't supposed to go up 84 cents. It was only supposed to go up 5 cents a litre. Right. There's still an inflation. Do you agree? The price has still gone up.
I do.
And so it would go up, but it wouldn't go up as much.
Not that much.
Got it? Okay. Let's say tomorrow he says, look, price of petrol went up 84%. We made a mistake. Today it's going up again, and it's going up by another 4 cents, right? So the inflation compared to what happened today, what will happen tomorrow, the inflation rate will drop right down. It's only gone up 4 cents, but it's still gone up because there's a positive.
Okay.
Do you understand that? Okay. And folks, inflation rate is very different to my percentage or the amount of money that I have in the bank. All right, so if you get that question at the end of this year, you smile with joy, okay, because you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, Colin. And folks, just let me put it out here, hey, I don't know what's at the end of the year paper, so if it does come up, no one must come to me and say, hey, he knew. I really don't. Okay, so, right, let's move on. I want to go on to my next page, and we've got another question. And this is quite an interesting question. It's going to go into depth, and there's quite a lot of maths involved with this. All right. At some stage, we've got to stop the clock or whatever the case is.
Just before the ad break.
Okay. But
so it depends what you want to do.
Exactly when.
No.
Okay, it's a state secret. So
No.
we're not going to tell them it's before the ad break. Okay. Right. Let's go on. Mrs. Nkosi lives in the centre of Pretoria and works in Sandton. She travels to work by car, covering approximately 65 kilometers each way. Now, Colin, if I was reading this in my final paper, guys, there's certain things I'm going to underline. And the first thing I'm going to underline is each way. Okay? Because what a lot of people are going to think is this, that this person travels 65 kilometers a day. But they don't. They're going to travel 130 a day. Agreed?
Yeah.
65 to work,
then you come back.
65 back. Cool. Now, she works 5-day week, and presently a colleague travels with her to work. Okay. And that's a great thing, folks. It's a great thing for two. Number one, I think we're saving the environment by chipping in and everyone sharing transport.
Smoke.
Okay. Sorry?
Smoke coming out of the car.
Yeah, smoke coming out of the car, less cars on the road, less congestion, and most important of all, less pollution. So if you can get a lift with someone, do it. And that's why I think taxis are great as well. Because we get like, 45 in one vehicle or something.
Not 45.
You're pushing it, Peter.
Right. So she's giving someone a lift, but the other reason why it's good to give someone a lift is because you're going to share costs. And you'll pick this up here in this question. All right. So now, Ms. Corsi pays an average of 650 Rand per week for petrol. The general maintenance of her car is 35 cents per kilometer. Her colleague pays her 330 Rand per week as her contribution towards the travelling cost. Ms. Nkosi has to be at work by 8:15 daily, and it takes between an hour and a half and 2.5 hours to travel to work, depending on the traffic. In fact, I think it's only if you've lived in the Johannesburg area that you understand the importance of that question. Okay? Because traveling in Johannesburg area or between Johannesburg and Pretoria, my giddy aunt. In fact, even traveling into Cape Town, I went and had to go to Cape Town during peak time one day. I nearly had a heart attack, okay? Because some distances, so between Joburg and Pretoria, might one day take me a good 30 minutes, 35 minutes. On a bad traffic day, it could take me 2 hours. Okay? And that's exactly what Mrs. Nkosi comes across here. She says it could take her an hour and a half or 2.5 hours to work depending on travel. Now, here's the first question. Colin, I want you to help me out with this. Determine the latest possible time that Mrs. Nkosi should leave home to ensure that she always arrives at work on time. Now, if you worked for me, okay, Colin, and I said to you work starts at 8:15, and you know it could take you an hour and a half, or it could take you 2.5 hours, right?
Okay.
Which one are you going to work on?
You
would take the worst scenario, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you
so
would.
You're going to say, you know what, it could take me an hour and a half, it could take me 2.5 hours. I'm going to pretend every day it takes me 2.5 hours, so if there is traffic, I'm still on time for work.
Okay.
Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. So now, if it takes her 2.5 hours to get to work, and she's got to be there by 8:15, what time should she leave? Okay. Well, first of all, we subtract 2 hours, so 8 o'clock minus 2 hours is going to give me 6 o'clock, okay? So we're down to 6:15. Now, if I take away another half an hour, what's half an hour before 6:15? It's quarter to 6.
Quarter to 6.
So it's going to be 5:45. Right. Colin, I'm going to teach you something with the computer now that is absolutely crucial. Do you have a calculator like this?
Yeah, I have a calculator
now,
like that.
There's a special button here. Can you see this button over here? Now, I can't touch it with the screen, otherwise it goes off. But if you look at the screen and you see the ENG button above the 8.
I see it.
Then there's another button, a circle, a comma, and a comma, comma.
I do.
That's what I call my time button. Okay? Now, time button is wonderful for examinations. So if I were to say I want 8:15 in the morning and I want to subtract 2.5 hours, I'm going to tell this calculator I have 8 hours, and I push the time button and it gives me a little circle, meaning 8 hours, okay? And 15 minutes, and I'm pushing that time button again to show it's 8:15 in the morning. But my calculator, I've got to tell it as well about seconds, and I'm saying no seconds. So I've got 8:15 in the morning. From that, I'm going to subtract 2 hours, 30 minutes, and no seconds. See that? And watch what it gives me. 5:45 in the morning. How wonderful.
Good.
Yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tool. And like I said in the beginning of the program, guys, I insist on my guys using calculators because they're so helpful and so wonderful. We're going to come back to this question just now, but I think now you are going to talk about something.
Peter, I was so excited when I saw this last year during the revision lessons, because I also learned this. I went to school and showed everyone, even my teacher, how to calculate time using the calculator. So I was quite excited.
Fantastic.
I'm reminiscing my last years of matric, guys. Now
Well, I'm glad someone watched it. And look where you are today.
Yes, exactly. Okay, guys, right now, Peter, prepare to stop the clock. I'm excited. We're going to see who's going to win the CD, sponsored by Soul Candy. And later on in the show, we also going to be giving this cool CD case, guys. Look how pretty it is. I would die for one of these as well. So, Peter, have we refreshed?
We have,
Are we
indeed,
cool?
and our total likes is 45,242.
Okay, so the last number is 2. That means the lucky person is the one who chose 2 as from 0 to 9. So whoever you want, we're going to announce you later what your price is. This is your price. And later on, we're going to announce the winner just before the show, the end of the show. Now we can go to our break. That was a hectic session. Go drink water, stretch around, because I also need a stretch. We'll be coming back soon. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I hope you're ready, refreshed, and revitalized, ready to listen to Peter. Guys, I want to quickly remind you of the new show that Mindset has. It's called Connections. You tune in tonight. It's going to be at 7:15 in the evening. Be sure to watch it. You're going to enjoy it. The topic is body image. So keep posting on the page. And you could also like the new Connections page. But everything is on the Mindset Facebook page concerning that. Over to you, Peter.
Right, thanks, folk. And again, I hope you had a great break. just before the break, we were looking at this whole scenario of Nkosi driving from Pretoria to Johannesburg. And there were certain expenses that she had. And one of the next questions we're going to look at is calculate her expenses to and from, and that's important. Let me just get a pen and underline that. To and from work for a 22-day working month. Now, guys, that's important to take note. Although some months have 30 days and some have 31, remember you got the weekends off. So you're not going to work on Saturday and Sunday. So although it's a 30-day month, it's actually only 22 working days. Okay? The next thing to remember is that there are 4 weeks in a month, and that's what we work on average. So 4 weeks in a month, 22 working days. Okay, now let's look at all her expenses. Can you remember what the expenses were, Colin?
650.
Okay, let's just write what they were, and then we will work out the price. So basically, she's got a petrol price, so she is paying petrol. Let's get a different color here. So she's paying for petrol. Okay, what else has she got to pay for? She's also got to pay maintenance costs. So we have the maintenance. I'm just going to call it main. All right, maintenance costs. And what other costs? I don't think she has any other costs, okay?
Yeah.
So it's 650 Rand a week for petrol, and her maintenance costs are 35 cents a kilometer. Will you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, and remember she's going 65 kilometers each way, 130 kilometers. Okay, so her petrol, we said, was how much, Colin?
650.
650 Rand per week. And how many weeks did we say on a month?
4.
So we're going to multiply that by 4 to work out what her petrol costs were. And again, we're going to do that by the use of our calculator, so we don't have to think. 650 multiplied by 4 equals 2,600. Okay, so 2,600 is her total cost for her petrol, right? Now she has some maintenance costs. And her maintenance costs were 35 cents. Now, I want you to take note of this, Colin, because so many matrics do not do this. Guys, if we work in rands, we work in rands. If we work in cents, we work in cents. The first lot spoke about 650 Rand a week. After today, it's probably going to be 1,650, eh? But 650 Rand a week. Her maintenance, 35 cents a kilometer. Now, Colin, have you seen what have I done? What have I done here? Changed it to?
Cents.
Changed cents to rand straight away.
Yeah.
Okay? So I've got 0.35. Because so many matrics say 35 times, and then they forget they're working in cents. So change it to rand straight away. Okay? So it's 0.35 cents per kilometer. And how many kilometers is she doing? 130 a day. It was 65 each way, but that's just for one day. She's now got to add, multiplied by how many days is she going to work?
5.
22, hey, in the
22.
month.
Okay.
Remember, it says with 22.
I was thinking about a week.
Yeah, working day. Okay. So now, what's that going to give me? And again, folk, we take out our calculator to do that, because we don't want to think about it. So I've got 0.35 cents, or rand rather, multiply by 130 kilometers, multiply that by 22 days that she's going to work, which gives me a total of 1,001 Rand. So it's 1,001 Rand.
It's a lot of money.
Okay, it's a lot for maintenance, eh? Right, now, are there any other expenses?
No.
No other expenses. But what do we notice? She gets some money.
So we must subtract.
So we've got to subtract that, absolutely. And she gets 330 Rand per week. So I'm going to say now, right, in a week, so the money she gets, subtract 330 Rand a week times 4. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. So again, with our calculator, we're going to say, right, so we've got 330 Rand multiplied by 4 weeks gives me 1,320. 1,320. Okay? So we're adding that and we're subtracting what she gets. So what's my final amount? Well, let's clear our calculator. We say it costs her 2,600 in petrol. To that, she's adding 1,001 Rand because that's what she thinks her maintenance will cost. But her buddy is giving her 1,320 Rand, which means out of her pocket, it's costing 2,281 Rand. 2,281 Rand. That's what it's costing her every month.
Okay.
Are we all right on that?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay. You understand that, folks? Straightforward, isn't it? But there was quite a lot of work involved. And you know what? I knew there was going to be a lot of work for 2 reasons. Number one, we're dealing with a paper tube. And the second reason, look out. Okay?
6 marks.
6 marks. And Colin, when you get a question for 6 marks, you know it's going to be a lot of work. Right. My next question. Let's have a look at it. The next question says this. Calculate the distance in kilometers traveled. Oops, I think I've missed a question here. Let's go all the way down. No, I haven't. Okay. To and from working day. All right, cool. Now what's going to happen is this. Mrs. Nkosi decides to use the Gautrain to travel between Pretoria and Sandton. Have you used the Gautrain?
No.
Not? That's a wonderful experience. Maybe our producer can sort that out for him and put him on a trip and send him to Pretoria and back by Gautrain. If our producer's listening, that'll be absolutely great. He is listening, but he's totally ignoring me, I think. Is that right? He says he's listening, and I'm sure they'll make a plan for you. If not, the big shot of the company called John McBride, he'll make a plan for you.
Okay.
Right? He'll put you on the Gautrain and let you have a wonderful experience. But let's read through this. Ms. Corsi decides to use the Gautrain to travel between Pretoria and Sandton. The Gautrain is a rapid rail link between Pretoria and Johannesburg. Passengers are able to make the trip between Pretoria Station and Sandton Station in 42 minutes, which includes 3 one-minute stops. So how long are they stopping for? 3 minutes in total.
3 minutes.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Because they stop for a minute, stop for a minute, stop for a minute.
me 3.
Okay. So how long are they actually traveling for, Colin?
42 minutes.
Minus the
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, so the train is traveling for 39 minutes. He's 39 minutes traveling on the train. Okay, and that's important, so I want to show that. Now, calculate the distance in kilometers traveled by the Gautrain between Pretoria Station and Sandton Station. If it travels at an average speed of 85,8 kilometers an hour. Right, now, they give me a formula. Now, folk, if you get given a formula in a maths lit exam, it's given to you because you have to use it. And if you don't use it, you've made a mistake. Got that, Colin?
Got it.
So if you ever read an exam paper and there are 20 formulas, you're going to use those 20 formulas. Here, the formula is given right by the question. So the examiner is actually saying, hey, use the formula. And that's what we're going to do. Okay. So what do I know? I know the average speed is 85,8. I know the total time is 39 minutes. The total distance I don't know, but the question's asking me to find that.
Okay.
Okay, and that's what we're going to do. All right, folks. Now, here's a little thing I want you to remember. I show my class this, and it just makes such a wonderful difference in my life. And I know if you take physics, that you probably use these little triangles as well. Colin, have a look at this. Speed is this side. Distance is on top. And you see? And total time is that side. It's the only one missing. So speed is on my left-hand side, distance is on the top, and time is the one left over. Now, I am trying to find distance. If I cover up distance, what do I get?
Speed and time.
Next to each other. So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is this, that distance is equal to speed multiplied by time. Okay. Now, what is my speed? Average speed of? 85,8 kilometers per hour. That means if I travel for a full hour, folk, okay, I would have covered a distance of 85,8 kilometers. But we don't travel for a full hour. What do we travel for? We wrote it here for 39 what? Minutes. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. But my problem is this. Time is in hours. How do I change minutes to hours? I just divide by
60.
Okay. So I'm going to say times 39 minutes, but I'm dividing it by 60 because time is in hours. Why? Because my speed was kilometers per hour. I didn't even write that in here. Per hour. So my times, this has got to be in hours. Right. Now, my calculator is going to do the job for me. I'm going to say, I have got 85.8 multiplied by fraction button 39 over 60. Push equals, and there's my answer, 55,77. So 55,77 what? What unit?
Kilometers.
Kilometers, absolutely. Okay? So the train is traveling a total distance of 55,77 kilometers. You happy with that?
Yeah, I
sure?
am so happy.
Okay, great. Next question. Let's have a look at this one. And I don't think we're going to have time to do this, sadly. And you know, Colin, that's one thing you'll realize in our show. Time goes so quickly. I mean, we're down to less than 2 minutes, and I've only on question 2. It's like scary, and I had 4 questions.
I know.
Right. So, let's have a look at this. This was the question, and I'll just say what we would do, because we're not going to have time to do it. Mr. Corsi has the option of using the pay-as-you-go payment system or using a 35-day pass. All right? The Gautrain fares in Rand are given on Annexure A, and we'll show that just now. It would cost 150 Rand per month for petrol to travel from her home to the station and back. Parking at the station would cost 10 Rand per day. The Gau bus between Sandton Station and workplace costs 6 Rand. How much money would Ms. Corsi save if she decides to buy a 35-day pass rather than a pay-as-you-go? And just quickly, because we are running out of time here, if we do look at this, we can see you get given a pay-as-you-go system, and you're also given a 35-day pass. All right. From Pretoria all the way to Sandton would cost you 41 Rand per one way. And from Pretoria all the way to Sandton would cost you 1,435 Rand if you were buying 35 days worth of passes.
Okay.
Guys, I've got to end now. I've got to hand over to you. Time's gone away. It's been great seeing you again. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. It was beautiful having Peter and Colin in the studio today. The winners of the competition Stop the Clock are, for the CD, it's Hlengeti Ndobe. Congratulations. And Mandla Gianni is the second time winner of the case. He's been winning a lot today. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Remember to watch Connections tonight at 19:15 tonight. It's going to be beautiful. It's the topic for the day is body image. Be sure to stay tuned. Welcome and bye. Alright, guys, over to you, Peter.
Right, thanks, Mogani. And Mogani asked me right in the beginning, what are we doing today? And I started talking about the Kruger Park and forgot clean about to answer that question. So, guys, we are looking today at some finance questions as well as a few questions on graph work. And we're taking these questions from a paper 2 that was set at the beginning of, for March, April this year. Okay, so it was a supplementary paper. So it's real questions taken from your papers, questions which you could come across at the end of the year. Obviously not the exact same questions, but questions that are extremely similar to that. Okay, now this is what I always tell my students. Okay, and Colin, you're a matric, aren't you? Okay.
I am.
So this is a crucial information. And what I always say to my matrics is this, that if you take the past papers, and remember we started mathematical literacy, the first matric group was in 2008. So if you take past papers, the 2008, paper 1 and paper 2, and you do it,
Welcome, Mindsetters. This is Sibonganjalo Sibosobueta, and I'm in the studio with Peter to do some of the exam revision questions today for Maths Literacy, grade 12. And Peter, how are you doing? What are we doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Always doing well, especially because I spent the last 3 nights in the Kruger National Park, which was absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
We saw 6 cheetahs, we saw a leopard, we saw a wild dog kill. It was just phenomenal. Absolutely wonderful. But it still saddens me that some people still drive through the park and don't stick to the speed restriction of 50 kilometers an hour. And unfortunately, well, in fact, the last time we were there, we actually saw a leopard that had been knocked over and killed. So yeah, if you go to the Kruger National Park, guys, please tell your folks, stick to the speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour. Okay.
Peter, I'm interested. With the Rife rhino killings, did you experience any incidents while you were there?
We didn't, you know, but there's a huge... And then you take the 2009, paper 1, paper 2, and do it. And the 10, and the 2011, and last year's 2012 paper. Guys, you're going to come across quite a few things that are kind of repeated, okay? So, if you look at the 2009 paper, there was a question on either the mean, the median, or the mode. If you look at the 2010 paper, there was a question on either the mean, median, and mode. And the 11 paper, mean, median, mode. And the 2012, mean, median, and mode. Now, I haven't even seen the 2013 paper. I will only see it once you've written it. But I can almost guarantee you that there would also be a question along the lines of find the mean, median, and mode. Why? Because, folk, there is a syllabus content. And the examiners can only ask you what is in that syllabus, okay? They can't ask you anything else, only what is contained within that syllabus. And guys, if they've questioned that syllabus in 2008, and they're questioning it again in 2013, there's got to be similar sort of questions coming up year after year after year. Obviously, the context is different. So, for example, I know in the one paper in 2009, they gave a whole lot of prices of housing. And they said, find the mean average price of all these houses. Now, last year, there was nothing to do with houses. There was a totally different context, but there were also questions. Now, calculate the mean of this or that or that. So what I say to my students is quite simply, and I'm going to say to you folk out there as well, guys, before you write those final papers, in fact, before you even write your prelims, which are coming up, you should have done the 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, and 12 papers, okay? At least once through every single one of those 10 papers, because it's 2 per year, by the time you do prelims. By the time you do your finals, you should have done each of those papers at least huge awareness of what's going on with the rhino. And there's so many people out there saying, hey guys, let's stop this rhino killing. And you know what? It makes sense. Hey, it's our animals. We're all Africans. They're African animals. They belong to us. Let's look after our animals, man.
That's
Absolutely.
true. That's so true, guys. And with these exciting news, clearly Peter enjoyed his few 3 nights. And we're in the studio today. We have a mindsetter. That's the most exciting part. Colin is with us in the studio. Colin, tell us where you're from, why you're here. Tell us.
Hello, everybody. I'm from Sebokeng for Ianaching, coming from Tandukwazi Secondary School. Yeah, I came here to do some maths lit with you guys because, like, I love mindset.
It's so interesting to have one of the mindsetters in studio with us today, and especially for Peter. I bet he's happy because he's going to have someone to prick on and ask the questions, see if he has been attentive in all the shows. With that, guys, to post any questions, you can go to www.facebook.com/learnextra. On Twitter, we @learnextra. And to get some of the notes, you can go to www.mindset.co.za. Enjoy.